This is the subcommittee on Senate File 2014. And I was starting to say a few years ago, we changed the way the state nominating commission was selected. At the time, both the state and the district commissions were selected half, or not half, but an equal number of members elected by attorneys around the state, and the other equal number appointed by the governor, and then the longest serving judge or justice, as the case may be, was the chair of the commission and a voting member. On the bill that we passed before regarding the state nominating commission, we removed the judge from the commission and gave the governor one more appointee, so the number stayed the same. And then the commission selected its own chair for a 2-year term. So very simply, this bill does the same thing at the district court level. We didn't change the district court nominating commissions at the time. So this bill would do that. Under the bill, we would still have the governor appointing half the commission plus one, and members of the bar, not bar, but attorneys around the state. You don't have to be a bar association member, but you have to be a practicing licensed attorney, would select the other half, or the rest of them, should say. So that, in a nutshell, is what this does. Personally, I thought what we did before worked pretty well at the state level. That's what prompted me to do this. I think we should do the same thing at the district court level. So at this point, I'll invite the other senators to make comments if they choose, and then we'll move on to other folks. Either of you want to make comment? Open comments.
I'd like to make sure we have plenty of time for others to comment and reserve my remarks for the end.
All right.
I have nothing else.
Very good. Okay, well, let's go ahead here. Who wants to lead off? You can help me.
How can raise your hand if they want to talk?
Okay, go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like to speak.
Hi, this is Caitlin Jarzen. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Caitlin Jarzen with the judicial branch. We're registered against this bill. And the reason for that is because we believe it is best to have judges involved in the process of selecting judges. We understand that there has been an issue with this process on the district level. However, that issue was addressed and resolved, and we don't believe that the entire system needs to be changed because of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Connie? Connie Ryan? Can you, whoops,
There. Thank you,
Go
Senator.
ahead.
Thank you. I'm Connie Ryan. I'm the Executive Director of Interfaith Alliance of Iowa and Action Fund, and we are also registered opposed to the legislation. We believe the protection of the courts from partisan influence is critical to maintaining a sense of impartiality in the court system and to ensure the public's trust. The district court commissions have a long history of intentional nonpartisanship, and the bill would insert partisan politics into the process of choosing who is on the commissions. By shifting that balance of power, the commissioners, by shifting that balance of the commissioners from a partisan politician position, regardless of who is in the seat of the governor, we believe is bad for Iowans. And additionally, as Caitlin said, it's important to note that having that leadership of an experienced judge on the commission is a very valuable asset to the commission and should not be removed. We were opposed to the legislation in 2019 as well, and we would ask that you oppose Senate File 2014. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Who is next? Anybody else interested in commenting? Yes. Or you want to comment, you point out somebody else?
Point of view, on the screen, I'd like to go.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Jim Kearney on behalf of the Iowa State Bar Association. We are also opposed to the bill. And you are correct, Senator Garrett, there were changes made in the state nominating commission a couple years ago, and there were some perceived problems that people thought there should be a change in the way our justices of the Supreme Court were nominated, and that change was made. You may recall at that time that there was a strong resistance, opposition to changing anything at the district court nominating process. And we recognized that there was a problem up North Central Iowa a little while ago. We don't believe that one problem should justify changing the whole system. And that's our understanding. That's been addressed. We too believe that it's good to have a judge on the judicial nominating commission. And in our discussions with members of the commission around the state, feedback we receive is that the judges provide great insight and are very, very helpful to the commissioners in the selection process. So we basically believe that the system on the district court level is working well, albeit there was one recent hiccup here. But we don't necessarily believe that should be a basis, a reason to change the whole nominating process. I think that is basically our position why we oppose the bill, and appreciate the opportunity to give comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Drew Clyde with Americans for Prosperity here in Iowa. We're registered in favor of this bill, and it seems like the lines really haven't moved a whole lot from the reforms that were made a couple of years ago. I think the package in front of us today certainly brings greater continuity. Certainly haven't seen any sky is falling moments since we've made those changes on the Supreme Court level. And I think in principle, this is not about one case and one region, but this is really just about what's our perspective on how we select judges. In the same way that if I had a master's in public policy, I wouldn't get an additional vote for state legislative races. I don't know that having a law degree makes somebody more qualified to decide who the judges are. I mean, that's in essence the players on the field getting to pick who their rep is for. And so this is working at the state level. We've seen it for a couple of years. There are no major calamities as we predicted a few years ago when we made those change. I think it's time to bring that same continuity to other courts and state level as well. So appreciate the bill. I hope you guys will.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Peter Hurd with the Iowa Federation of Labor, Afl-Cio. We are against this bill. We believe that giving the governor power to appoint the majority of the people on the committee creates an unbalanced power for three equal branches of government. And then also, I'm not an attorney, but we believe we're looking at the Constitution in Article 5, Section 16 states, and this is about the chairmanship. States that the district judge of such district who is senior in length of service shall also be a member of such commission and serve as its chairman. I don't know if that conflicts with the legislation in hand, but that was something we found. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Senator. Kelly Paschke with Justice Not Politics. JNP is a citizen-driven organization whose goal is really to ensure that our judiciary remains free of political and financial influence. We are also registered against the bill. I won't restate some of the opposition that's already been here, but I would like to speak to sort of the shifting of the balance from 5 appointees to 6. From our perspective, all that does is drive more politics into our judiciary, which we have all claimed we want to avoid. So with all due respect to my colleague from AFP, I fail to see how adding an additional political appointee brings any continuity to the system whatsoever. So we would continue to oppose this legislation as we did.
Thank you.
Daniel Simon, family leader. We're registered in favor of this bill. It's a bill about transparency and better access for the people of Iowa to the judiciary and the judicial process, about a system that is currently dominated by existing judges and licensed attorneys. We think that this bill makes good changes like we did a few years ago and gives the people of Iowa better representation and access to the process.
She's already spoken.
Yeah, go ahead.
She's already spoken. She just. Oh, okay. Oh,
Sorry.
there you go.
Anybody else? Who's next? Yes, go ahead.
Senator Braddock, on behalf of the Iowa Defense Council Association, registered on the site. I want to hear your comments. This is the individual sponsored bill. I don't know the impact of the other. I do think it is important to have particularly senior judges involved in the process. So I'm not sure that the association will favorably upon that. I do want to make a note or maybe a pitch, and that is, as you know, and many of the lawyers in the room now, getting a number of qualified candidates for these positions, including Supreme Court and appeals board, has been declining over the years. And I think we'd really like to see a focus on what we can do to change that. I know when I was younger and did a lot of district court work, it wasn't just about the salaries of those positions. That would be super. We just don't have them. So if we could spend maybe more time on that, because I know we all want a credible and productive judiciary. It lends itself to an inviting state to attract business and commerce, economic growth, and we do a little more on that effort rather than how we pick folks. We might find ourselves more successful.
Thank you. Do see anybody else? Okay. Well, I'll invite the senators to make their comments now. Either one start.
Mine are relatively short. I appreciate the consistency. It is a subject that lends itself to needing to be dealt with, considering we've done the work at the state level. So I appreciate in your bill that you follow generally the same pattern. So I think it's something that should be done, and I'd be happy to sign on it. I appreciate consistency.
Thank you, Senator Boulton.
Thank you, Senator Garrett. I think you've heard a number of the presenters address this, but we're kind of in a period of rapid change in terms of the judicial nominating commissions and process. And we certainly don't want to see these changes stacking on top of each other without a full appreciation of what they actually will result in. We've had a pretty narrow sample size since we made major changes to the judicial nominating qualifications process. And certainly we don't want to see instability in our courts, in a branch of government that should be one of the more stable branches of government. Judges do matter, their experiences matter. They do add a lot to this process, particularly when we talk about trial court judges, but judges at really every level, being able to call upon their experience and expertise in the courts and process as you're looking to have someone transition from an attorney role into a judicial role. Having that reference on the commission is certainly an important part of the process. We also can have some disagreements over the idea of whether or not people with a public policy master should get more voting power than people without. But the reality is our judges do have to be lawyers and have legal training. It's a slippery slope when you start talking about taking away legal experience and start talking about anybody being able to serve as a judge or stepping towards direct election of judges. I think anyone would agree that the states that have slipped down that slope and gone down that path have really regretted what it's done to their judicial systems. So this is a safeguard here that we don't want to see these changes stack upon each other and start adding more uncertainty to the judicial process. So I would be very hesitant to sign off on this. And at this point, we had a really bad problem that came out of one judicial process. But the fact of the matter is it was discovered, it was openly dealt with, and that process worked in the end with the system we have in place. So those would be my comments, and look forward to hearing from Senator Garrett.
Thank you, Senator Boulton. Well, I guess needless to say, I do support the bill, and I do want to make some comments on some of the things that were said here. First of all, this is a bigger issue than one incident in North Central Iowa. That was disturbing, I agree, and I personally heard some feedback from what happened up there, and that was not a good situation, but that was one case. The problem that I've got is I have personally heard over the years from people who have similar concerns about what went on in their particular districts, not to that degree. That's the difference. That was a pretty extreme case, and the judge in that case actually resigned from the commission. There was such feedback and pushback. But I've heard similar comments from others along the lines of attorneys really reluctant to say anything contradictory to the judge. And that's probably not, I don't want me to say that that's universally the case, but I think that is fair to say that in some cases that's true. Some of the non-attorneys have also been a little concerned about what they view as the undue influence of the judge. And you know, we heard these same arguments when we were talking about the state commission. I think the arguments are pretty much the same. The issues are pretty much the same. Yes, judges will know the attorneys and other judges in their communities, but so will the attorneys. They will know the other attorneys and judges and their qualifications and maybe minuses in particular cases. So I don't think it's an absolute necessity that we have judges on the commission in order to have people who have personal acquaintanceship and knowledge of the skills of particular nominees. I am encouraged by the fact that it seems to me what we did here a few years ago was working well at the state level. I have not heard complaints about the justices that have been selected under that system, and there have been several. So those were the considerations in my mind when I decided to go ahead and make this proposal. It does seem to me that it makes some sense to be consistent and have the same principles applied both at the state and the district level. So I am also going to sign on, and then we'll advance this bill to the full Judiciary Committee. I want to thank everybody for participating. We've got a room full of people here and several people online, and we appreciate especially those who made comments. So with that, we will adjourn the subcommittee meeting.
Thank you.